Imagine standing under the harsh fluorescent lights of a grocery store checkout line in November 2026, watching the cashier slowly slide canned soup, bread, and heart medication to the side because your debit card has just been declined. The people behind you are staring. Your chest tightens as you step away. Pull out your phone with shaking hands and open your banking app, expecting your Social Security deposit to be sitting there waiting like always. But instead, you see a number that sends ice through your veins. $0. Meanwhile, headlines everywhere are screaming about a maximum $5,450 Social Security payout, leaving millions of retirees confused, angry, and terrified about what is actually happening to their money. But here's the truth: the government bureaucracy will not explain clearly. November 2026 contains one of the most dangerous Social Security calendar traps in years, and millions of Americans are about to experience what feels like a missing check month. If you do not understand these payment schedule changes, overpayment clawbacks, tax traps, Medicare deductions, and silent administrative delays, your retirement income could be reduced, frozen, or delayed without warning. Today, I'm breaking down the real story behind the $5,450 claim, exposing the 6 biggest reasons Social Security payments are being disrupted, and showing you exactly how to protect every dollar you earned before the system quietly takes it away. Now here's where the situation becomes even more dangerous, because the truth behind this maximum $5,450 payout headline is far more complicated than most retirees realize. Millions of older Americans are hearing these giant numbers online and assuming huge Social Security checks are suddenly arriving in November 2026. Then reality hits when they open their bank account and discover their actual payment is nowhere close. That confusion is exactly why so many retirees end up panicking, overspending, or missing critical deadlines that quietly damage their benefits. The real maximum individual Social Security retirement benefit in 2026 depends entirely on when a person files and how much they earned during their working years. If someone claimed benefits early at age 62, the maximum monthly payment is capped around $2,969. If they waited until full retirement age, the maximum rises to roughly $4,152. And only retirees who earned at or above the taxable maximum for decades and delayed benefits until age 70 can reach the top individual benefit, near $5,181 per month. That means the viral $5,450 figure floating around social media is misleading for most retirees watching this video right now. But here's the part nobody is explaining clearly. The 5450 number is actually tied to 2 different systems. One involves the upper family benefit limits for certain disability cases, while the other points directly to IRS publication 5450, a document connected to free tax assistance programs for seniors. In other words, retirees are being baited into clicking scary headlines without understanding the real issue hiding underneath. Taxes, delays, penalties, and payment disruptions are becoming more common as the system grows more overloaded and confusing. And that brings us to the November 2026 payment schedule itself, because this is where millions of Americans are about to get blindsided. If you receive supplemental security income, SSI recipients are facing one of the most psychologically stressful calendar shifts in years. Since November 1st lands on a Sunday in 2026, the government is sending the November SSY payment early on October 30th. At first glance, that sounds wonderful. Many retirees will suddenly see 2 deposits arrive in October, one at the beginning of the month and another at the very end. But then November arrives, and suddenly there is no deposit at all for the entire month. Imagine being 74 years old, standing at your kitchen counter on November 12th, staring at overdue utility bills while refreshing your banking app over and over because the payment you expected never arrived. Your stomach starts turning, your breathing gets heavier. You begin wondering if your benefits were suspended, hacked, or stolen. Thousands of retirees go through this exact emotional spiral during so-called zero payment months, and many do not realize the money technically arrived early days before Halloween. That is why budgeting becomes critical during these calendar shifts. The government does not stop your benefits during November. The payment is simply moved earlier because of the weekend schedule. But if retirees unknowingly spend that early deposit too quickly during October, November can suddenly feel like a financial blackout. And there is another major November disruption impacting retirees born between the 1st and the 10th of any month. Normally, those beneficiaries receive payments on the second Wednesday of the month. But in November 2026, that Wednesday lands directly on Veterans Day, a federal holiday. So instead of arriving on Wednesday, those checks are moved up to Tuesday, November 10th. Now imagine an elderly widow named Margaret sitting beside her phone waiting for her deposit notification on Wednesday morning because that is when it always comes. Noon passes, nothing arrives. By evening, panic starts setting in. She calls her daughter crying because she thinks something went wrong with her account. This is exactly how confusion spreads during schedule anomalies. And unfortunately, scammers often target retirees during moments like these because fear makes people vulnerable. That is why I need you to stay with me until the end of this video, because I am going to walk you through the exact protection steps retirees should take immediately to avoid payment chaos, benefit freezes, overpayment clawbacks, and silent deductions that can devastate a fixed income. Now let's talk about the 6 biggest reasons Social Security payments are delayed, reduced, or interrupted in 2026, because some of these situations are catching retirees completely off guard. The first major trigger is something called a whereabouts unknown suspension. This sounds harmless until it happens to you. If the Social Security Administration mails something to your address and the letter gets returned as undeliverable, the system may flag your account. Once that happens, payments can suddenly stop while the agency tries to verify your location. Picture an older couple downsizing into a smaller apartment after inflation pushed their rent too high. In the middle of moving, one important Social Security letter gets lost in the shuffle. Weeks later, their check suddenly disappears. They spend hours trapped on hold with government offices trying to prove they still exist. That single missed address update can create a nightmare. The solution is simple but urgent. Log into your My Social Security account immediately and verify your mailing address, phone number, and contact information. Even one outdated detail can trigger administrative chaos. The second reason involves direct deposit failures. Since nearly all payments are electronic now, changing banks without updating Social Security can instantly interrupt payments. And this happens more often than people realize. Imagine a retiree named Harold switching to a new credit union because he heard they offered better rates for seniors. He closes his old account before updating Social Security. His November deposit bounces back to the Treasury system, and suddenly he has no money for groceries, medication, or gas, while the correction slowly processes through federal bureaucracy. Never close an old bank account until your new direct deposit information is fully confirmed inside your Social Security profile. That one precaution can save weeks of financial stress. The third major danger zone is the retirement earnings test. This catches many early retirees by surprise because they assume working part-time will not affect their benefits. But if you claim benefits before full retirement age and continue earning above the annual limit, the government can temporarily withhold part of your checks. Imagine a 63-year-old grandfather working extra shifts during the holiday season to help buy Christmas presents for his grandchildren. He feels proud for staying active and helping his family. Then months later, part of his Social Security income suddenly disappears because he unknowingly crossed the earnings threshold. For retirees under full retirement age throughout 2026, earning more than $24,480 can trigger benefit withholding. The system removes $1 for every $2 earned above the limit. In the year someone reaches full retirement age, the higher threshold applies before penalties begin. This is why retirees must track earnings carefully. A few extra shifts, freelance jobs, or seasonal work can quietly trigger reductions many people never see coming. The fourth danger involves federal debt offsets. Although collections on defaulted student loans are temporarily paused right now, other federal debts are not. Back taxes, child support obligations, or certain government debts can still reduce retirement or disability benefits. Imagine opening your monthly statement expecting relief, only to discover your check is suddenly hundreds of dollars smaller because of an old debt issue you thought had disappeared years ago. For retirees already surviving paycheck to paycheck, even a small reduction can trigger cascading problems: skipped medication, unpaid heating bills, or maxed out credit cards. The fifth, and perhaps most terrifying issue, is overpayment clawbacks. This is where the government claims you were paid more money than you should have received, sometimes years earlier. In many cases, retirees never even realized an error existed until a notice suddenly arrives in the mail demanding repayment. Now imagine a retired nurse named Carol opening a government letter while drinking her morning coffee. The letter claims she owes thousands of dollars because of an alleged overpayment from years ago. 30 days later, half her monthly benefit suddenly disappears because she did not respond fast enough. This is devastating retirees across America. But here's the critical part many people do not know. There are defense mechanisms. If you respond quickly, you can often stop or reduce these clawbacks. Filing an appeal, waiver request, or repayment adjustment within the proper time frame can pause aggressive collections and protect your monthly income while the case is reviewed. That is why staying informed matters so much. Bureaucratic silence punishes people who do not understand the rules. And finally, the sixth reason for delays involves the system itself: staffing shortages, processing backlogs, and outdated technology. Millions of baby boomers are entering retirement while federal agencies struggle with aging systems and overwhelmed offices. Think about how frightening it feels for someone who filed disability paperwork months ago and still has no answer while bills keep piling up, or the retiree waiting endlessly for a corrected earnings record because one employer underreported wages decades earlier. These delays are not always personal attacks. Sometimes the machinery itself is failing under pressure. That is why proactive preparation matters more than ever before. And we have not even touched the silent financial erosion happening behind the scenes through Medicare premiums and taxes. Many retirees celebrated their COLA increase only to realize Medicare Part B premiums swallowed a huge chunk of that raise almost immediately. Others started earning modest side income or withdrawing retirement savings, only to discover their Social Security benefits suddenly became taxable. This is what experts call the tax torpedo. Retirees unknowingly cross provisional income thresholds and wake up inside a tax trap they never expected. Imagine a retired couple finally taking small withdrawals from an IRA to repair their leaking roof. They believe they are responsibly using money they saved for decades. Then tax season arrives and they discover up to 85% of their Social Security benefits became taxable because those withdrawals pushed them over federal thresholds that have not been adjusted properly for inflation in decades. This is why retirees feel like they are running harder every year just to stay in the same place financially. But here is the good news. There are still ways to protect yourself if you act early and stay informed. In my next video, I am going to show you the exact steps retirees should take right now to protect deposits, avoid payment interruptions, reduce panic during the November calendar shift, and defend every dollar possible from silent government erosion. And if this breakdown is helping you make sense of these confusing changes, take 1 second to like this video, subscribe, and share your experience down in the comments. Tell me whether your November payment date has changed or if you have ever experienced a delayed Social Security check yourself. Your story could help another retiree avoid a serious financial mistake before it happens to them too.